What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be reading some humanoid encounter stories from Reddit. So let's not waste any more time and get right into it. This first one's called Crazy Tall, Impossibly Thin, Long Arms and Legs, Slate Springs, Mississippi, in the United States. Don't mistake it with anywhere else. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world called named Mississippi. My bad. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I really don't care. I'm not a stranger to weird stuff, even if I don't understand it. I do understand that it happened, and afterwards, I always pep talk myself for hours to not gaslight myself into believing it didn't happen. This is one of those. This is one of those times. About a year ago, I was doing late night cleaning at almost midnight. I walked to my back door to throw out some dirty mop water outside. The backyard is fairly large, a quarter of an acre or so, and completely surrounded on three sides by thick foliage. The fourth side was closest to the back door and shared a low shrubbery with my neighboring house, an empty house that no one had ever lived in. So it's dark back there. So it's dark back there in rural Mississippi at night. So I open the storm door and go to step down three small cement stairs into the backyard. But before I can get more than 1 foot out, I see something to my left side, just on the neighboring house's side of the shrubberies. I literally startled really hard and dropped the mop bucket down the steps at the same time as I exclaimed, "Holy shit." I'm sorry, but like, you guys aren't going to see this, but the way this person writes is so weird. So I had to sit here for a minute and just keep like repeating it. So from here on out, I'm sorry if the way I'm reading shit is weird. It's not because I am I'm a little slow, but it's just how they write, cuz like I've read stuff before and it just flows so well, and I don't have a hard time reading it at all, but this one I'm having a hard time. So I'm just going to go ahead and apologize from here on out if the way I'm reading this sounds weird and slow and choppy, because I'm trying to read this like how they wrote it in real time, you know? So I'm just going to apologize. I'm so sorry if it sounds weird from here on out. The only way I can explain this thing is to say imagine Cylinder Man. Tall, white, and possibly thin, with arms and legs that are insane, scary long. See what I mean? Insane, scary long. Like insanely scary long. That's what I that's what I'm assuming they were trying to say, but this is Mississippi. They're not really known for being academically achieving, so I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to diss the Mississippi homies. But it was like, I don't know, it was wearing some sort of cloaking device maybe. One that had glitched out partly. I could only see it from about shoulders down to below the knee. The head and lower legs were invisible, and the hands that hung low also. So basically, like, I guess from here to about where the knees are, you could only see, and the hands you couldn't really see either. Again, I'm sorry if this is reading really weird. This person, I don't know why they typed like this. Oh, imagine grading their fucking English papers. God. It was glowing, but not brightly, just like radiating a 2 to 3 inch dull white glow around the bits that were visible. It had been walking at a brisk pace. I startled it when it startled me, and it stopped dead and went entirely invisible. But it was still there. I could feel it watching to see what I was going to do. It was surprised that I had seen it or something. I guess it didn't realize it was showing some of itself, or its invisible mechanism had short circuited or whatever was happening. I froze, and it went completely invisible and froze and just waited. After a few seconds, I gathered myself and said something like, "Yep, nothing to see here. I'm gonna go inside and mind my damn business. Carry on." I walked to my bedroom and sat next to my boyfriend watching TV, and I stared at the floor for about a minute and a half, trying to make sense of it. He looked at me finally and wanted to know why I was looking crazy as hell, so I told him. He clearly didn't believe me. He asked that I wanted him to go check it out, and I instinctively said, "No, do nothing." And at that moment, my little schnoodles, I'm assuming these are dogs. I read it once and then I was like, what the fuck is a schnoodle? I guess like a schnauzer and a poodle mix. It says they have two, so I'm guessing it's a dog. I Again, I'm sorry. This story's a little hard to get through, but we're almost done. The schnoodles started losing their mind, barking from the back door to the kitchen window in the room adjoining the back door. They were going ham, hard as a motherfucker. I haven't heard that word in a while. That term or phrase, whatever. They were going seriously ham, which was something they rarely did, and only when they knew for a fact that someone was about to knock. He looked at me again, really confused, and I shook my head again. I told him I was serious. Do nothing. Don't go out there. I don't know if this was actually something that didn't matter but made me feel better. But the next night I opened the back door around the same time and said out loud, from 11:30 to 12 a.m. I would not be coming out. That way, in case this was a regular footpath for the thing, I didn't let my kids go out at those times. And I honored it till I moved out in February this year, and I did not see it again. What was it? Anyone have any answers? I'm sorry if I feel like I was having a stroke reading this. I'm so sorry, guys. I almost feel like not putting this one in the video because of how bad it was written and how bad I was reading it. But it'll be edited down, hopefully in a more coherent way. Dude, this is a bad start. I am so sorry. But the actual story, I do like the idea. Well, not the idea, but the encounter. I do think is interesting and something that I do want to talk about. Is I actually thought about this the other day when I was in my kitchen, just randomly, because there's so many things we can't see. Like animals, cats, for example, have different ways of seeing things. They can see like different colors on the spectrum and different lights and all that. Because I have a cat and he just like stares off at nothing. He'll sit in the corner and just stare at nothing. He's done it ever since we had him. We've had him for like going on 4 years, and he's just always been like that. At first, we're just like, what the fuck is his problem? And then I mean, I learned that cats can see all sorts of other stuff. So I'm a firm believer that there is things that we just can't see because we can't we our eyes and our brains just can't see these different colors and stuff. And I think there's stuff. I sound like I'm fucking crazy. This is such a bad start to the video, but I sound crazy. But I know there's things that are there, but we can't see them and they can see us. And it's, I don't know if they're aliens. I don't know what they are, you know. But I believe that there are things that's like not, it's not ghosts. It's hard to explain because there's like dimensions and shit, and there's something that we can't see that's above it. I sound like I'm schizophrenic, but this is I don't know, like this should interest me because I may never see it. I may not ever get an answer to it, but I don't even know how to articulate it because I haven't really thought about it more. But I've heard stories of like these people see like aliens, for example, because there are cases I've heard of aliens. It's like they just randomly appear, like as if they are behind a curtain and they just come out. You know, like when there's a play going on and there's like the curtains and like people come out from behind the curtain and announce and stuff like that. That I've heard or I've read that there are cases of someone seeing an alien just do that, and that's what scares the shit out of me because it's like there's a curtain there and you can't see it, but it can see you. It's like a one way mirror, and it's almost like that thing that she saw was similar to that. So that's what interests me about the story and why I kept reading it. Sorry, and no, I just thought it was interesting and maybe something that you guys are interested in. So yeah, I'm sorry. Hopefully the next story doesn't read as bad. So let's move on to the next one. This next one's titled "Was I Abducted as a Child?" This was in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, I should say, between 1970 and 1975. So this is a while back now. So I can't do math. I'm not even gonna try to do math. I don't know why I thought about trying to do math. I roughly can't remember exactly how young I was, but I was sleeping in the same room as my older brother, maybe 6 or 7. I was having a dream about two large glowing red eyes at the foot of my bed coming out of what looked like a tall, hooded figure. I woke up. Thinking it was just a dream, I looked to check and make sure. But when I did, there they were. Two huge glowing red eyes at the foot of my bed. My brother's bed was close by. I woke him up and I got him to look as well. Sure enough, he saw them too. We both hid under the blankets until morning, too scared to call out or move. I've had many other paranormal experiences over my life, but this is the first I can remember. I've seen a star-sized dot in the sky at 10 years old at night, shoot from horizon to horizon, zigzagging all over the sky, with other 14 witnesses. I've had a life full of night terror dreams, of being awake, unable to move while horrendous things are done to me. I have no real memory of aliens or anything like that. But I've been awakened by housemates in the middle of the night because of unnatural screaming coming out from me in those night terrors, of being held down and something is coming for me. It takes me a few days to recover from one of them. I'd always been different from other kids, never conforming or believing in school or authority or social norms as facts to be adhered to. I was called names like Nature Boy as insults because I cared for the planet and always believed it was in danger by pollution, destruction, and overpopulation. At the age of about 12 years old, I decreed I'd never get married or have children. stating that something is coming and I don't want to bring children up to suffer from it. I never did get married or have children. I'm 60 years old now, and it seems all my fears I've been saying and ridiculed for have come and are still coming true. I feel them large red eyes were a pivotal point in my life that put me on a different path from my family and friends. My intuition and awareness of my surroundings is unmatched by anyone I've ever known. Has this happened to anyone out there? I didn't think this one was going to be the way it was. Also, this one read way better than the previous one, so I enjoyed that at least. I hope you guys did too. In this, I want to say from like the 50s up until like the 90s, maybe even the 2000s, there was a lot of stories of people getting abducted, or they don't know if they got abducted, but they keep having like these night terrors, and it looks like repressed memories coming back through like night terrors and stuff. And that's what this guy experienced, but he said he saw red eyes, and so did his brother. I wonder why his brother wasn't affected, because he said his brother, the rest of his family lived normalish lives, I guess you could say, and his brother didn't suffer from that, and they saw the same thing. Maybe, maybe if he did get abducted, it was just him and not his brother. Why? I don't know. But this is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty scary living like that. He's 60 years old, and he was just so traumatized that he never got married and he never had kids, which is, I mean, normal. There's people that just don't want to live their life like that, which is completely fine, and they have the freedom to do so. But it's as if whatever he saw and experienced scared him so bad, he's like, dude, I no, I don't want to bring any kids into this world or something like that. I've also never really heard a lot of stories from Australia. It's usually like South America and North America that I hear about, like aliens and abductions and stuff like that, especially South America. There's some weird shit. There's this one case that really fascinates me. I forgot, I think it's like Brazil. There was a this kid that went like fishing or something, and he came across this corpse, and it was a fresh corpse, but it had like, it basically, there was like no organs in the guy, and there was a bunch of like holes in his armpits. It's disgusting how precise it was, but they were saying that that guy may have gone abducted, and the like aliens harvested his organs or some shit, or did experiments on him. That's like the most fucked up one I heard. But also, like, in America we have Skinwalker Ranch or whatever, with all the cows getting mutilated. But yeah, I've never heard any cases from like Australia, which I think is, this is pretty interesting. Well, let's move on to the next one. This next one's called Something Was Watching Me and I Knew I Shouldn't Look. I wanted to post this encounter somewhere for a long time, but honestly, it scared me so badly that I think my brain has been blocking it out. This took place in a more rural area in South Florida on the East Coast in 2022. I was living with a relative at the time. His house was old, built around 1930. I never got any weird feelings or encounters within the home. It was comfortable and cozy, if a little prone to plumbing issues. I'll be honest, I've always loved the paranormal, cryptids, and UFOs. Same, I've always had a light interest in it as a kid, and as I got older, I got exposed to the internet. I just like dove deep into it. Me and my brother, like middle school, I don't know, we just had this like weird fascination with cryptids and UFOs and ghosts and shit. I remember I was actually thinking about it today. There was this old book I got in like fourth grade. It was like Encyclopedia Horrifica, and that was like one of my first exposures to just weird paranormal shit, and I just love that book so fucking much. It's kind of crazy. I just thought about that today. I'll put a picture up on screen if anyone else has read it, but yeah, I love that book so much. I've had more than my fair share of encounters during amateur ghost hunting expeditions, and I spent all my childhood outside in Georgia. I'm a very outdoorsy person, and I'm pretty hard to scare. I was always the debunker of the group during these teenage ghost hunts. Boo, you're the fucking party pooper. I'm just kidding. I do like being a little skeptical about some things. Like, yeah, I'll kind of feed into like stories and stuff a little bit more. I just, because part of me gets entertained by it, but then I do have to like kind of snap back to reality and think there's an explanation for some of this. I even in the videos I'll say like maybe this or that, but some things are just unexplainable. But I think there's always it's always good to have that level of skepticism when you're reading into this type of stuff, because not everything is true. And you can't just like blindly believe and be gullible about every single account or story, because then it's just like you're gonna look like an idiot. At the time, I had just gotten a puppy, a cute little mutt who is sitting beside me right now on the couch. I got him when he was very young, probably around 6 to 8 months old. I started potty training him right away, of course. So whenever he wanted to go out, day or night, I would put him on a leash and take him outside to do his business. My relative had a big front and backyard that were completely fenced in, but my little guy was small and mischievous and found plenty of places to wriggle through gaps in the chain link fence, so I always took him out on a leash. He woke me up at around 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom, so we went out. I took him to the front yard because it had better lighting, and 2 weeks ago, I'd stepped into an armadillo hole in the pitch black yard and didn't want to repeat the experience. The house was on a dirt road but still had streetlights. They were the dimmer, orange streetlights that illuminated the road but not much else. I used my phone's flashlight to help me see. The dirt road was the white clay type of dirt, and across the road was a deep canal, and then a cow pasture. My pup liked barking at the cows, but they had rotated to a different pasture, so the pasture across from our house was now empty. My pup was sniffing around when I got a feeling that I was being watched. I didn't react to this immediately. There's a lot of wildlife in the area, so I figured I was being watched. There was probably an owl or a bobcat or stray dog snooping around. There were also neighbors on either side, so maybe someone was having a smoke. My pup stopped sniffing, plopped down on his rump, looked up at me, and started whining. Then my gut sank. I felt like I was going to hurl. Out of the corner of my eye, standing on the road, I could see a figure standing there. Menacingly. I could see a figure standing there. I'm going to use she, but honestly, I couldn't tell what gender this thing was, or if it had a gender at all. She was smallish, maybe 5 foot to 5'5". Her limbs seemed very long and hairy. They seemed to be covered in a dense, dark, wiry fur. She was wearing maybe a tattered shirt that had long, dark, scraggly hair. I didn't look at this thing directly. I couldn't. My eyes started drifting in her direction, but it felt like time had slowed down. I know how that sounds. I read/watch a lot of horror movies, and even now, as I write this, the description of this creature makes me think, holy Blair Witch Batman. I don't even know how I can describe her in as much detail as I am now, because I didn't look at her directly. It was all through peripheral vision. Before I could look at her fully, the loudest internal voice I'd ever heard screamed at me, "Do not look at her. Go inside now and do not look at it." I did just that. I scooped up my pup who was still whining and went inside the house. I didn't run. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been taught to never run when dealing with a big predator, and that's what this thing felt like. I just picked up my dog, ignored her, and went inside. I turned on every light in my room and hid under the covers with my pup. He was still whining and shaking. I don't even think he did his business, poor thing. I gave him full permission to pee. I gave him full permission to pee in the house because we were not stepping out. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I think that's funny. Just it's like you just let the dog loose. Like, all right, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I gave him full permission to pee in the house because we were not stepping outside until it was daylight. He finally calmed down about an hour later, and I fell asleep a little while later. I didn't think about this encounter to anyone except my boyfriend, now husband at the time. I couldn't. I've had pretty hefty encounters before. I witnessed a stapler lift off a desk and fly across the room, heard voices in the next room when I was alone, etc. I never felt the sense of dread or had that voice command me to not look at it. Truthfully, I've been too scared to talk about it, or even have people critique my experience. Maybe I was sleep deprived, maybe my brain was just filling in the blanks, but that doesn't explain my dog's reaction. He was a very reactive guy, always has been. He's always been very protective of me. I've never seen him react that way, and we've stumbled across alligators, snakes, and elusive, unpredictable Florida man on our walks. He is a very bark first, ask questions later type of dog. I'd be interested to hear if anyone else has experienced anything similar. So, Florida is its own beast in America. I mean, America has so many different funky ass places. Like, Florida itself is just weird. Like, the Appalachians are fucking weird. Where else? Fucking Ohio is weird. There's always weird shit going on there, unironically. Fucking New York City, the actual city, is just weird. Because there's like fucking rats the size of dogs and shit. That has no relevance to this. I'm so sorry. But back to the actual thing. There's just so much weird shit like the skunk ape. I do believe that that is a thing because I've seen like a video breaking down that one picture. I'll probably post it on the screen right now of that. There's like an old couple that took a picture of what looked like an orangutan looking thing in their backyard, and they even called the cops. If I remember right, they called the cops and they're like, "Hey, is there a monkey loose from the zoo or some shit like an orangutan? Because there's something right now in our backyard." And they said it stunk and all sorts of shit. But that is super convincing that it's not an orangutan or a monkey, because it doesn't look like a chimpanzee. It looks like a primate, right? It looks like an ape, but it doesn't look like a. I don't even know the difference between monkeys and apes. So I'm sorry, I'm just kind of going everywhere, but it looks different from an orangutan because orangutans are like orange. You know, you've seen an orangutan; they're orange, and this one has like long, stringy brown hair, and it doesn't look like a chimpanzee. It doesn't look like a gorilla. It looks off, you know. And I think that was in Florida, so it might be like a skunk ape. I don't know, standing on its like hind legs or some shit, because I don't think they're tall. Like I know Bigfoot is obviously like 7 foot plus or whatever, but this one's they said that it looked small, but I can't I can't figure out why they would be wearing a shirt. And then he said it looked like a girl because they had like long hair, but if you're not really looking at it directly, it could just be like I guess like a female skunk ape, and it just has long hair. I don't know. He couldn't look at it directly, so even I couldn't really paint a good picture of it. It is a fucked up scary story though, because I think he was saying the arms were long, and primates and stuff have longer arms than like we do. You know, like yeah, we have pretty long arms. Some people have longer arms than others, but the way he made it seem was like it was really really long. So, and maybe it's okay. I don't know. That's still pretty fucking scary because like the dog. I hate when something is weird and the animals start acting up. That's when you know something is off, because like if I'm alone at the house or something and I hear something weird going on, or I feel something and I look at my cats and they're just like whatever, then I'm like, okay, it's probably nothing. But if they're like on edge, then like yeah, something's probably going on. So always trust your animals instincts, because they're there for a reason. You know, their instincts are there for a reason. They can see, sense, smell, hear things that we can't. So if they see something's off, then something's probably off. So let's move on to the next one. This next one's called Giant in El Salvador. Before we start, I just want to say the idea and the concept of giants scares the fucking shit out of me, because in 2014 or 13, whenever Attack on Titan was first coming out, season one, like season one wasn't even done, dude. Like this was going on as like the show was going on. I saw the first like episode. If you've seen anime, if you've seen Attack on Titan, you know what I'm talking about. I watched it and it scared the shit out of me, because everyone was like, "Oh, dude, fucking." This just shows so good. It scared the shit out of me to see giant fucking people just eating other people. The idea of that is so fucking scary. And if you've seen the show and you've seen how the Titans are, the pure Titans, they're like smiling and they just act so fucking weird and like innocent almost, in a sense. Like they're just in this ignorant bliss, you know, of like, oh, I'm eating a person. Like the idea of that scared the shit out of me. Like I was like a sophomore in high school when this was going on, I think. And I was sitting there in bed. I'm like, dude, what if something just ripped the fucking roof off of my house, picked me up, and ate me? That scared the shit out of me. So imagine in real life. No, that's scary. And then like where you hide, you know, because this thing has the power to just rip apart your house and find you, you know. Yeah, I hate the idea of giants. It scares the fucking shit out of me. I posted this a few years back and wanted to post again. This story was told to me by my uncle and swears it actually happened. He was the only one in this family this happened to, so no one else could back his story up. I don't know if I believe this myself. Dude, one thing about Hispanics, they have the wildest fucking stories. Like, if you're Hispanic, you know what I mean. Because, like, a giant in, like, Central or South America is fucking insane. You have the typical, if you're Mexican, you have the typical, like, La Llorona stories, or, like, fucking witch stories and stuff. Like witchcraft and Santeria and devil worshipping is very prominent in Mexico, which is really weird. But everyone has a story about that. Everyone has a story about La Llorona, and then everywhere else, I'm not really too sure. But I can bet you there's just weird shit down there, and everyone has a story. So a giant is pretty interesting. I really want to read you this one. Let's get into it some more. In 1979, there was this 12-year-old long civil war in El Salvador. My uncle was in the military. He was sent to the woods/jungle with like 6 other guys to look for a militia group that was supposedly camping out there. After walking in the woods/jungle for hours, they suddenly felt the ground shake as if something big was coming towards them. He described it like in Jurassic Park when the T-Rex was coming towards them and the water rippled. He said that they thought the enemy was doing something, so they hid. He said that he was shocked when he saw a giant. He said it was walking in the distance. I asked him if it was just maybe a really, really big person like Bigfoot, and he said no. It was more of a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of giant. He said there were trees blocking the view somewhat, but he could make out that it was a really big human. He said it was as tall as the tallest tree there. He said he was trying to get a good look at it, but was terrified and didn't want to get out of his hiding spot when he realized what it was. He said that the giant basically just walked past them. He said they were all terrified and waited there for a while, as they were scared they would bump into another one. He said two of the guys suggested to kill it to get rich, but the guy in charge told him to stand down. My uncle said everyone thought they were idiots for suggesting such a thing. He said they walked back to the base as quickly and quietly as possible. They told everyone when they got back, no one believed them. They were friends with the pilot, and the pilots called bullshit on their story because they fly all over the jungle all the time, and they would have seen such a creature, especially if it was as tall as the tree that they claimed. He said all the guys described what they saw. One guy claimed that it appeared bald, another guy said it had a loincloth like Tarzan. My uncle emphasizes that he didn't get a good look, and that all he knows was that the ground was shaking as if some really big creature was coming towards them. He saw what appeared to be a giant human walking in the distance and got down and waited until it was gone. I began to ask him things like, if it was real, don't you think they would have found a body or some bones of something that big, especially since El Salvador is so tiny in relation to the other parts of the world? He responded along the lines of, I don't know about any of that stuff. I just know what I saw that day. I don't know how I feel about this one personally. This one seems a little out. This one seems a little out there. My mom said maybe it was some sort of spirit that just made itself appear as a giant to scare them. During the Civil War times, my mom claims that there was a lot of paranormal things going on because of all the deaths that were happening. A lot of innocent people were being killed. My grandma would say if you looked out the window of the house, you would see dead bodies on the street. That wouldn't explain the ground shaking though. Has anyone encountered a story of a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of giant? This one scared me as a kid. It's so unbelievable that if you did actually see it, that's crazy. Yeah, this one's a little shaky. Maybe so I've never been I'm not in the military, so I've never been out on like an active live battlefield. But if maybe it was explosives going off, maybe it was like a a tank, something large, that would actually make the ground shake. I'm not really sure. Like even helicopters, they're just so loud and create these vibrations, it might have been that. And I don't know, this one's really odd. If they there was apparently multiple guys there, so some of them got a good look at it. And then if you've ever seen like an actual forest in like South America and Central America, it's really fucking thick, so you can't see shit. Cause I've seen like videos of people going through there. I watched like a documentary. They were looking for lost these lost kids, sorry, and it was like military personnel. And they couldn't see like past like 10 feet or some shit because it was just so thick. So it is one thing that you can't fucking see it because of how thick it was. So they might be making it up. I don't know, but the idea of giants has been a prevalent thing throughout human history, and fuck, who knows if it's out there. I've also seen an explanation of why we haven't found like Bigfoot, if he exists, like a dead body. They're if they're real, if they're around, why haven't we found a dead body? And I saw the post say something like, well, take bears for example. We don't really find like uh their their bears dead bodies and stuff because there's not that many compared to like deer. For like every one bear there's like so many deer or something like that, if I remember right, in specific areas. So these animals go way out in different places that we can't even get to. So imagine a fucking like Bigfoot. They probably have a home in a cave or somewhere we can't even access, and they just die there. That's why we haven't found bodies, because we can't reach those areas, if that makes sense. Just like I don't know why I said black bears, but like bears in general, I've heard that they rarely find like a dead bear because of that reason, because there's just not as many of them, and they can get to these places that we can't get to. But then it's like, it's a fucking giant. How can you not find it? But maybe they're in like Arthur or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, this one's a little odd. Well, not odd, but not as credible as the other ones. The other ones were a bit more believable. Well, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a little bit different from what I was reading before. I I find cryptids and humanoid shit interesting because it's out of the spirit world, you know. It's sometimes it's like things are actually tangible, like the dude that saw the weird hairy thing on the side of the road. I mean, dude, like that's not a ghost, obviously. So I find stuff like this interesting. I'll go back to the regular content in the next video, but if you guys like this, I'll keep sprinkling it into the channel. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.